Hey, friends, welcome to Let's Talk Context Live. This is episode 13. I'm Ethleen. Thank you for tuning in. June is almost over. So, what are your thoughts? Should we continue with the live streams or should we stop? Let me know. All right, let's begin. So, around the world, I was reading on my favorite news website, BBC, that Spain has lifted its state of emergency. And the country is now allowing those from most European countries, as well as specifically British tourists, to come into the country, and they don't need the quarantine. They don't need to be under quarantine. So what do you think about that? What do you think about, one, Spain, which was one of the hardest hit countries by coronavirus, lifting this ban and basically saying, okay, come back. And I think what the article said was that tourism makes up about 12% of the money that the country brings in. So, I mean, I understand it's a huge part. It plays a huge role in the country's economy. But Spain was hit so hard that it's kind of like, I mean, is it wise? And I think I'm also asking because we know that recently China has reported that there have been coronavirus people who have been testing positive for the virus, as well as New Zealand. And the whole thing with New Zealand, and the shocker with New Zealand, was they had completely gotten rid of all their cases. But now all of a sudden, I think it was 2 cases in New Zealand were detected. So, I mean, is Spain premature in lifting their state of emergency? Or do you think that it's a good thing and we're all kind of like, okay, coronavirus, it's over, we're done with it, we're sick of it, we want to go back to our normal lives? So let me know in the comment section, or, give me your thoughts. Let me, what's happening, what's going through your head. Has your country lifted their state of emergency? Have they lifted their travel bans? Are people going to the airports now? I know I have some friends who recently made a trip to Florida, and they're so funny when they talk about it because, they're telling me that they had their gloves on and the masks, and they were completely covered when they went to the airport. And considering that the airport is a huge hot spot, I don't know, I'm very cautious when it comes to safety and things like this, especially when the virus is so unknown and there are aspects of the virus that we still don't know. There is no vaccine. So I am definitely one to say, no, stay home, don't travel, don't do anything until the officials, the scientists, have said it's okay to resume normal life. But the reality is, many of us have been in our homes, at least I have, since March. Cabin fever is real. We've talked about how cabin fever is real. And should we be returning to our normal lives now? Is it kind of like, okay, I'm over this. Let's just go back to doing what we used to do. Let's travel. Let's spend our money again. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say, because I think that it's a conversation that needs to be had. And so let's just talk about it. So, great news. Some of you know that we have an online persuasive writing course. And some of you also know that I've been talking about doing a creative writing course, developing a creative writing course for a while now. And it's finally happening. I am actually looking to make it a series. And so the course will be creative writing, and it'll be a series of courses. We'll do one on poetry as well as narrative writing to begin with. And I'm considering asking some of my teacher friends to come alongside and help develop the course and the curriculum so that you get another perspective of teaching and another instruction style. That is still in the works. That's something that I'm talking about with them. So we'll see if it happens or when it happens, but it will be happening. I love narrative writing. I love stories and watching someone's imagination come alive. So if that's something you're interested in, be on the lookout. The other thing is, so with every course that I design or that we design, there's always a pilot. And the purpose of the pilot is to make sure that the course is doing what it's supposed to do, which is to help you all improve your English and your skills. So if you are interested in being part of any of our pilot programs, whether for the poetry course or the narrative writing course, just any course that we do, if you're interested in being part of that pilot group, it's there no more than 5 people. So the first 5 people, the first 5 eligible people, you have to be at either an intermediate or an advanced level of English. And we have a test to make sure that you do qualify, you are eligible to participate in the course. But if you are interested, email info@speakwriteplay.com or fill out the form, the Google form for Let's Talk Context, and just let us know that you are interested in being part of the pilot program, and we'll get in touch with you when the classes are ready. And basically, when you're part of the pilot program, you're taking the course for free. So you'll do everything that students who later register for the course do. And basically all we're asking is for your feedback. What did you think about the class? What was good? What was not good? What could be enhanced? Things like that. Because always, I feel like a resounding gong at this point saying the same thing, but quality. It's all about quality. The content that you see on this platform, on any of our platforms, it's about giving you really good quality content. So that's why we run the pilot program and ask for your participation. Okay, so pronunciation perfection. Oh, this one was so I think I stepped it up a little bit. I went for a little bit more sophisticated text with some challenging words. I don't know, they might be challenging, just to kind of push you all a little bit more. Okay, you ready? Write what you think you heard me say in the comments, and if you get at least 90% correct, and you do 4 of these from our previous lives, then you will be entered to win one of my favorite books. So let's begin. It appears the information our office received was riddled with fallacies. To ensure its accuracy, we've hired outside consultants. The last thing this firm needs is a PR nightmare. So go ahead, write what you think you heard me say in the comments section. And if there's any text or anything you've stumbled upon that you're not sure how to pronounce the words or how it would be said by a native speaker, feel free. In the description, there's a link to the Google form where you can submit that text. If it is not original text, then I just ask that you cite the author so that we can give credit where credit is due. But if it is your original text, just let me know it's original. And I will read it so that you can hear how the words are supposed to sound and things of that nature. So you're always welcome to do that. Ask anything. Does would have to indicate the past, present, or future? What is the difference between would have to and would have had to? All right, so this is it's a sophisticated grammar question. And what we have to understand is that would indicates the conditional tense. And so it's not necessarily a matter of past, present, or future. It's a matter of would suggests supposition. It's a hypothetical situation. It's not necessarily something that's going to happen or that is happening. It's being posed as if it did happen. Now, this might be a complex explanation. So my suggestion is to do further studies or to dive a little bit deeper, because if you haven't completely mastered or if you don't understand how the conditional tense works, then it might just sound like I'm speaking gibberish. Okay, but this person also submitted some examples. So I selected a few of the examples to kind of go through. So the example number 1, the sentence was, to meet the challenge, the public authorities would have to be transformed into a public limited company. So the situation is there's a challenge that needs to, there's a challenge that the organization faces. So in order to overcome that challenge, this is what needs to be done. And so that's why would have to is used. And it's just setting up that situation of what needs to be done, what would need to be done. And you notice in the simple present tense, I say what needs to be done. I don't even need the conditional. I can just say what needs to be done. But instead, if we use the conditional, then you have to say what would need to be done. That would be the conjugation. Example number 2. But he said there would have to be a complete overhaul of the electoral system first. Again, it's a supposition. In order for something to happen, this needs to happen first. This would have to happen first. That's the structure we use for the conditional when we're using would. And then example 5, it's not something I want to do, but it's something I would have to do. Once again, the person is stating that they have no desire to do something, but if they want to see something else take place, they would have to do this thing. And it's I know I'm using something and thing, and I'm just using these words, and it might be confusing. Again, the conditional tense is more, think supposition, think hypothetical. Don't focus so much on past, present, future, because you don't need to use the conditional tense. You could simply use the simple present tense. Conditional is when you're trying to sound all like sophisticated and like, you're all advanced and whatnot. That's conditional. But the conditional tense focus more on hypotheticals, possibility, wishes. That's when we use that conditional tense. So grammar, some more grammar questions. And these are the ones I selected because I knew the people who submitted them, but we have more questions. And so if you don't hear your question today, then bear with me. You will hear it next week or the week after or at some point. Every question will get answered as long as it's appropriate and not too personal. How do you use ones, O-N-E-S, and once, O-N-C-E? So ones, O-N-E-S, is referring to the number. Or when you are talking about maybe people or things, right? So I have friends who live next door to me. They are the ones who make ridiculously loud, who turn up the music ridiculously loud. So they are the ones, O-N-E-S. I'm referring to the people, right? Or the things. These earrings are from my mother. They are the ones she bought when she was in Morocco. That's not true. But I'm referencing these earrings. And so I'm referencing something. In the previous example, I was referencing some people. So that's ones, O-N-E-S. Once is just the amount of time something happens, right? So you can think of it when we're talking about like adverbs of frequency. I talk to him once a day, and it just makes me so happy. That's O-N-C-E, right? You can only use this once. Then it will not serve any purpose. So one time. Think of once as one time. And that'll kind of help you understand how to differentiate the two. And then our final question. I mainly get confused using quotation marks, especially with titles. What quotation marks are used for titles? So here's the deal with quotation marks. The British system has its rules. The American system has its rules. British English has its rules. American English has its rules. And then when you're talking about American English and you're talking about grammar, there are different styles. There's AP, MLA, Chicago. And so this is a question. It's not that I can't answer this question. It's more that the way we use the punctuation mark, especially the quotation marks, is dependent on the style or the country where the English is being used. So I would say quotation marks we use for dialogue. When you're indicating that someone is speaking, we use quotation marks. Quotation marks are also used when words are not given their tradition. They're not being meant to be interpreted in their traditional sense. So he is my boyfriend. When I use quotation marks, it's not necessarily that he's like the guy I'm involved with romantically. I'm suggesting that boyfriend is used in a different sense. So I think that with titles, there are rules. Usually titles of books and long pieces are actually italicized. It's the shorter pieces that get the quotation marks. So if I'm talking about a TV show, that's in italics. But if I'm talking about an episode, the episode title of a TV show, then that's quotation marks. So there are a bunch of rules, and you can Google them. And I think that would be your best bet to figure out when to use quotation marks, because a lot of times we use quotation marks when with titles specifically, when they should just be italicized and capitalized. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your questions, for the grammar questions, and for your participating. Again, let me know if the lives are something that you like. Give the video a thumbs up, share it, or if you're kind of like, let's be done with the lives, I'm over it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I will see you next week. Bye.